Hello, fellow Supermom, and welcome to the Special Needs Supermom podcast. This is Nadine, and today's topic is about relapses and depression because I had a rough week, and I think one of the things that affects us most and our state of mind, but also our kids, is when they have a relapse. And or are dealing with depression. And these are so hard to deal with. And, wonderboy now almost being 19, supergirl being 17 years old, me, 47 now. You, of course, learn, kinda how to deal with it, but every relapse sucks because somewhere in your mind you're like, on these meds, finally it's going well. And with Supergirl, finally she's now in college with a group of kids that get her. And she has a boyfriend that, is really sweet and understands it when she needs to rest and doesn't make her feel guilty. They're all really nice. So and she loves her school. And Wonderboy last year, hopefully, of his college, we're kind of not sure, which is part of the reason he's not doing so well. On the side, I'm still dealing with long COVID and, being in menopause combined with ADHD, not the best combination. So I thought about, last week on Sunday I had personally such a great time. I signed up for a local run, 8-kilometer run. And I was only able to start, or run for half an hour since Christmas break. But I've been a runner. I've always ran like a 5K since college, I think, but nothing serious. And when I got really ill about my 30s and I ended up in hospital with a double pneumonia, was quite bad. Husband about to get deployed. 2 really young kids. But I remember then that, there was this big run in Amsterdam. I thought if I survive this, if I get out of the hospital, no matter how much time it will take, I will, do that run. So when I was, I've got a therapist helping me, with energy and managing my week. Since long COVID, because it's a different kind of tiredness. And in the beginning I had no energy, and now I have like 3 hours a day of 2-3 hours a day of good brain energy. Rest of the time I'm still tired, but there was one thing that always brought me joy: running. So I slowly picked it up again, and this Sunday I participated in that 8K run. And it was, I managed to run it and not stop. I felt great. I came over the finish line crying. And, in my head I was like, of course Sunday evening I will be tired. That's understandable, and I can accept that I will be tired. And seriously, when Supergirl talked to me or my husband said something, the words nothing came into my brain anymore. I couldn't make words out of it. It was bizarre, but I was like, that's Sunday evening, totally normal. So Monday I went like, I'm doing fine, doing all the things. I'm cured because I just did 8K. And Tuesday, I had my first running training. And everybody was like, well, I've got a little muscle pain here and there. And I went like, no, I'm great, yeah. And afterwards, Wonderboy wanted to pick up running again, so I was like, no problem. I will adjust my calendar. Let's just do it right now. And then Tuesday afternoon came. And I was like, I need to do all these things. And I had to play taxi, and I had to pick up several kids and drive 1 hour one direction, and in the evening an hour the other direction for a parent-teacher conference at college. And I would just go. Well, by the time it was dinner, I was hardly able to communicate. But I managed till the parent-teacher conference. On Wednesday, I was dead on my feet. And Tuesday evening, I felt mentally, well, physically as well, mentally, like crap. Because I was like, seriously, I did 8K. You know, one evening of resting should be enough. And I should know by now that it's not. If I had a really busy day with a lot of impulses from the outside, I normally have 2 or 3 days that I need to recover from that. But it just sucked. I didn't want it. I felt guilty that, I'm an entrepreneur, and my income, the money I made last year seriously dropped because I maintained my retainer clients, but I didn't take on extra work. So that was a good thing. And, we managed. But I felt guilty. Guilty as fuck, excuse my language, that I wasn't able to do that I wasn't able to, I think that's a trap most moms fall into, that you still want to, the house was a mess, and I didn't cook dinner or 2 or 3 times because I was too tired. So, and wonderboy, he really likes it if he knows what we're going to eat. So I tried to make a planning, and of course I cancelled 3 or 4 times, so he got stressed and I felt guilty. Oh, it was just shit. And Wednesday, I accepted it. I accepted, okay, this happened. I need to go to get through this and this. Those are the most important things. And I cancelled all the other shit. Focused what really needed to be done, client-wise, and what was important to me. That means canceling things that are, do they really feel urgent, or a lot of the time, a lot of things feel really urgent, so while they're not. And then you skip the things that really are important to you. And last week, that really meant sleeping a lot. And, I still haven't figured out that since I've got long COVID, I don't have any energy in the afternoon. Even when I sleep, power nap, longer nap, doesn't matter. In the afternoon, the moment I have lunch till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Well, I think even until dinner, I have, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, yay, all the energy in the world, I have like a 1, maybe a 2 sometimes. My mistake is that I still try to power through it. And then I'm like, I will do the brain work in the morning, and then still have to do laundry shit in the afternoon. By the time it's evening, I'm not functioning really anymore. So I have to figure out a way that I used to feel guilty doing stuff in the evening because I want to be there for my family. But Supergirl is not at home during the week for internship. Wonderboy is in, relaxing in the evening with his friends, playing games and whatnot. So he's not in the room. And hubby often comes home late, but enjoys, he often still has phone calls to make. He enjoys watching a few videos. So in that way, he doesn't mind at all. yes, he loves to, relax together. But he doesn't mind if I do a thing for an hour. So I have to switch things around. Like I used to do when I didn't feel guilty about doing a lot of things in the evening, when the kids were small and my husband wasn't at home during the week. So when the kids were smaller, I already had that routine of, morning was for me, and the afternoon, the afternoon was for the kids in the house and everything, and the evening I worked on my business. So, crappy Tuesday really sucked. I felt like shit and, depressed that I can't do what I used to do. But by the time Wednesday came by and I had physical therapy, which always is, really nice. And I always take that like a spa day. I go there because it's really good for my body and I like it. So, And Thursday I finished my trauma therapy. And I forget that has impact as well, of course. But just the fact that I allowed myself to accept that things suck. And it's not improving in the foreseeable future. So what can I do? What is important to me? And okay, so that means the house is going to be a mess sometimes. I need to ask for help. I suck in asking for help. I need to say no more. Not pick up too many projects. Also for the volunteer work. And thankfully, I'm a board member of the Dutch Juvenile Arthritis Association. And we've got a new chairwoman. But also my other board members, they're way better than my ADHD brain going like, oh, this is great, this is important, let's do it all. And they're like, whoa, slow it down. This is volunteer work. How many hours a week do you spend? And, I've always been a volunteer and it's really important to me. But, it's all about balance. Anyway, so that was me personally. Dealing with, still the physical aspect of long COVID, but also the mental part, accepting, dealing with it. Huge. Well, Supergirl has juvenile arthritis, as you might have known if you have been on this, listened to this podcast for a longer time. So Supergirl, now 17 years old, was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis and uveitis, which is an autoimmune disease on the eyes, at the age of 5 when we lived in Kansas. And it was bad. Her eyes were really bad. The scenario didn't look good. It was really scary. Also because we didn't know. It was all new to us. And she had a few times in her life that the meds didn't work enough anymore. Or the side effects were too severe after several years, that we needed to change meds. Sometimes because she got older or hormones, she needed to change, sometimes because side effects. And especially when you need new meds because the older meds don't work anymore and she takes some serious medication. So, she had, methotrexate injections since she was 5. And she started with heavy doses of prednisone because, to get a grip of the situation because it was really bad. And it did a great job. The MTX did a great job. But we had to change around the age of 10 or 11 because... Unfortunately, with methotrexate, you don't have to, but you can have some serious side effects. And in this case, so Supergirl didn't eat that much. But, it was okay. She ate a lot of apples. She didn't eat fast food because it was like her body saying, there's enough going on. We don't need extra crap in our body. So that maybe was even like this, funny side effect, a good side effect perhaps. But the injections are really, really painful. The funny thing is, they weren't painful in America. They were really painful when we came back to the Netherlands. And we had an extra dose of medication with us when we came back to the Netherlands because we didn't know how long it would take till we were able to get those meds in the Netherlands. And our neighbor across the street, she's a pharmacist. And the first time she needed an injection every week on a Friday. And we made this whole ritual around it to make it fun and bearable. And sure, the first few times I put a needle in my daughter, I needed several glasses of wine to nobody should need to inject their kid with really heavy medication. But so we had this routine going on, and we went back to the Netherlands. And after several months, our US stuff was, gone. We all used it. We went to the Dutch version, and I'm pretty sure she could have been heard around the block. She was suddenly, it was like this surprise. She screamed her head off. It was so painful. And we were not used to that reaction. And our next door or neighbor across the street, she's a pharmacist, and she looked at the doses and she said, well, what was in the American stuff and the Dutch stuff is almost the same. That shouldn't make that much difference. Only 0.5% here or there. Well, that 0.5% made it feel like there was this knife cutting through her leg. I kid you not. And another neighbor of mine, a nurse, said, oh, this is how my older adult patients describe how this feels. Why is nobody doing something about it? Anyhow, she had therapy for 2-3 years to deal with the bloody needle and, the medication. And thanks to a parent in the juvenile arthritis group, she said, this is not acceptable, because the Dutch doctor at the local hospital was like, well, this is just part of it. You need to suck it up because you need the medication. She was 10, heavily traumatized, got EMDR therapy, didn't help. And she was getting more and more angry, didn't trust doctors anymore because she felt nobody listened to her. We went to the academical children's hospital here in the city of Utrecht, and they have they're known for their, it's an academic hospital, really good hospital, children's hospital. And the first thing that the doctor asked, to her was, why are you here? And it was the first time a doctor asked her, why are you here? She was like, I don't want that shot anymore. She said, he was like, totally get it. Let's stop that. And that was just for her. But he told us, he said, already this medication for so long. That's quite unusual. So she needs other medication. And we first tried just pills, but that was not enough. So she needed extra injections from another biological with it. And it took almost. We were about to change meds again because it didn't seem to have any effect. And how does that look like? Flare-ups all through her body. So a lot of pain, extremely tired because your body is fighting all the time. She lost her friends at elementary school because she was no fun around. And, Supergirl has never been a group kind of person. None of us are really group persons. And she's really an introvert girl. But it was too much. And kids her age, they didn't get it. Because one moment she would be running and the next moment she can go home with mom. Yeah, because after that mini break, she was done. And she wanted to participate so bad. But they were going to play tag. She could run. She's not in a wheelchair, right? No, we still needed to get there. But it was an awful time. And it's really insecure, especially if you see that, it didn't seem to work. The new medication didn't seem to work. By now we know that Supergirl really needs a long time. Her body really needs a long time to adjust. And by the time she was 14, it was really bad again. We needed to switch again, 14 or 15. It was that first COVID summer. I can't even remember the year, and she had to switch again to a heavier medication. Thank God they had this new medication just been okayed for kids, and she was allowed on it. But that summer, she was in so much pain. She had flare-ups all through the body. And if your kid, and that the older medication wasn't enough, and then, you have to adjust to medication, and to see your kid in pain is the worst. But the mental impact that it had on her, and still has, is even bigger. She found almost a way, and it sounds awful, but to deal with chronic pain. Really, she says, "Mom, I've been in pain. Oh, there's always pain. To some extent, sometimes it's really bad, and but the chronic fatigue is way harder. And what it also does is, if you're dealing with so much physical crap, you get scared of the future. Because what if you can't do this? What if you can't do that? I know a lot of kids that, and young adults that are not able to have a full-time job. And Supergirl is not a book person. She's a hands-on girl. She's also severely dyslexic, so that doesn't help. But she's now in college for animal welfare, or, taking care of animals. Let's just keep it simple. But that's physically quite hard. And now she was rejected for one internship. They didn't say it out loud that it was because of her juvenile arthritis. She was so honest to say, I will only do a 4-day internship, 4 days a week, because of this, so I can rest. And they were really enthusiastic, and you've got it, and just let us know tomorrow and fill in blah blah blah. And the next day they came back saying, yeah, it turned out we don't really have time to guide you. It was a load of crap. But mentally, that scars you. Losing friends because you're not fun enough to play with, and then not getting an internship, so you can better be secretive about it and not be honest about it. And she started a new internship. Thankfully, we found a new place. She started an internship, and they're great. Last week she had a meltdown. She was training a horse, and she just started crying. She was really, crying, upset, and so much pain. And they knew she had juvenile arthritis, and they already said, you can please let us know, when you need an extra break. That's no problem. But we don't know, so you have to teach us, really. But it's really hard if you've been rejected and had to stop, certain sports because you couldn't anymore. So she tries not to. She tries to muscle through, and last week it didn't end well. Huge meltdown. And they had their best response. Just take an extra day off. That's no problem. And we will make sure that, for the paperwork at the end of the internship, it will be okay. You're not going to get in trouble because you missed a day. And, please rest. And they're really supportive and they're trying to help her. She finds that really hard, because then they're like, oh, better not do this because, and she, on one hand, she likes it. On the other hand, she doesn't want to be told what to do or not to do. Yay. And she admitted that she was struggling since Christmas break. So besides, having more joint pain, well, it is winter, so that's not the best thing for juvenile arthritis or any arthritis form, the cold weather. But she also said that, she just mentally was struggling. And that was really interesting because, great group of friends now, boyfriend, we had a lovely winter break. But it's also the scariness of that internship, and it's physically really tough, really hard. And it also makes you, being older, you can see what if this will never go away? What if I, can't maintain a job? I need so much rest, and then I'm no fun for my boyfriend, who is the sweetest and doesn't care and takes care of her. But I struggle with my because we tell her not to have a side job, but she loves that side job. But it's kind of too much. And she already thankfully canceled another one. Because she went from resting, not doing anything. I drove her to school during high school, almost entire high school, to I will take the bus by myself to college, because in the Netherlands it's kind of a different system, so you don't have dorms or anything. So she travels by bus, and it's about, I think, with bike and all, an hour and a half before she's at school. Leaves early, sometimes really long days. Suddenly has 2 weekend jobs from 0 to 100 in no time. And we were all like, ooh. On one hand, yay. On the other hand, So it already started with that she, when she heard that she was allowed to skip a class, because they were told, if you skip a class, it will go on your record. So she went like, I can't skip a class. I said, well, I'm pretty sure your situation is a bit different. And when she got, that confirmed, she went like, oh, okay, maybe I'm going, skipping a day or doing it online, or that helped. But a lot of things are going on. So mentally that has an impact as well. And it helps that she's getting, well, on one hand it doesn't help because, she's realizing now what it can be, how it might affect her adult life. And on the other hand, thankfully, she said like, we had her kind of in therapy, but she was like, yeah, no, I don't need it that much. Sometimes forgot the therapy, and she was like, no, everything is fine. And she admitted last week she sent her therapist a text saying, yeah, we were meeting once a month the last few months, but it's really not going well. Can you fit me in on a short term, because I really need help. And that's a really good thing. But seeing your kid defeated, struggling, sucks. I really cannot come up with a nicer word for it. It sucks, and it's so hard to witness that. And you can't really do anything. If the medication is not longer working, it's really scary to witness, and you can't fix it. If they're mentally struggling, in the beginning, I've always been a glass half full kind of girl. I was, just saying, oh, but you can do this and look at that, and trying to let her see the positive side of things. And she went just like, it just sucks. Mom, So what I learned over the years, I remember, and I never forget, at one time we were in a hospital, and I used to spoil her rotten when we had a bad blood test or something else was not going well, and I would, shall we just go to the toy store? And one day she said, Mom, a new toy is not going to fix it. And she was like 10 years old at the time, and I was just like, here's a new teddy bear. This will make you happy. No, it won't. If you're in constant pain or really in chronic fatigue. And so that was an eye-opener. But what I learned in all those years is that it still sucks. When they're 5 years old, when they're 12 years old, when they're 17 years old, when they're going to be older, it will still suck. Because, I'm their mom. You are your kid's mom. And it hurts to see your kids suffering. It just really hurts. And is there an easy, quick fix? No. Is there a solution? No. I think that what helped for us is, acknowledging it. Also to your kids. So not trying to hush it and focus on all the happy things that's going right. Oh, but fortunately your school grades are great, or fortunately you can blah blah. If you're in pain or if you're really stressed or mentally struggling, that doesn't mean shit, really. So name it and acknowledge it. And, if your kid is crying or sad, just saying, this sucks, doesn't it? And then being allowed to say just yes or just vent or what. That's what they need. Being allowed to feel like this. And sometimes it's just a big hug. Sometimes it's just letting them, be for a certain moment. I know that Supergirl really needs some time to herself. As hard as it is, because I just want to, give her a big hug and hug all the worries away. In the end, it's their battle and they have to find their way. And it's not easy. Look at ourselves. I'm 47. I'm still struggling with shit. It took me years to accept that because of my asthma, I should or shouldn't do certain things. Last weekend, last weekend I had a volunteer day, and we went to thank all the volunteers for the Dutch Juvenile Arthritis Association. And the coordinator organized that day, and it was in a zoo, really cool. And in the morning there was a workshop, and in the afternoon there was a tour of the zoo. But that workshop was a djembe, African drums kind of session. I can't deal with it. I always had a hard time with, a lot of noise and things. And I know now that's because of ADHD. But my long COVID really made it worse. So I was really proud of myself that when it started, I said to the coordinator, I will probably leave in 20 minutes because this is too much. I can't handle that. So I took time off. And allowing your kids to take time off. Instead of pushing through, trying to be like everybody else, just trying to ignore what you actually need and mask it with fun activities or gifts or online shopping or a glass of wine in the evening or two. It's not making it go away or make it better, acknowledging that it's shit and that's just what it is right now. And not, of course, that you need to dwell in it, but yeah, really truly listen to your kids and not hush it. Don't hush it. And name it, acknowledge it. And not only for your kid, by the way, also for yourself. As a parent, we're in survival mode, especially when something is going on with our kids. And we hardly take time to take a breath for ourselves. We also feel guilty if we do that because, our kid is suffering. We need to focus all our attention and time and everything on our kids. But what that does, and I had that 3-4 years ago when it was really not going well with Supergirl. I got a burnout because I didn't allow myself anymore to, well, it was COVID time, but everybody was home. I didn't get out of the house. I didn't allow myself to do something for myself. I was constantly tuned into my kids. What did they need? How could I support them? And I didn't go for a run by myself or watch a movie I liked or take the time to read a book because my mind was only focused on them. And I felt guilty. Having an online glass of wine with my friend, or I felt guilty going for a run in the forest because I had to be there 24/7. And I stopped because, and your kids notice that if you're only attuned to them, that doesn't help them relax because it just makes them feel guilty that you're feeling like shit because they're going to be like, well, probably going to be angry because you're only focused on them and not leaving them alone. Especially with teens, they're not crazy. They feel that you're constantly watching them, that you're constantly not looking happy anymore, that you're, not being able to laugh or breathe. And because you don't do it as a mom, it didn't make me a more fun mom that I was so worried for them. It didn't make me a more fun mom at all. It only made me an exhausted mom that was unable to function in the evening because by the time it was finally evening, I was exhausted. And I really was no fun. And well, we see that with Wonderboy as well. So Wonderboy, almost 19, autism and ADHD. Fun combination. And he always had struggles. But now he's in college and this should be his final year. But there have been they messed up with the internship coordinator. And she's really vague about things. And he finds it really hard to handle uncertainty because he had a shorter internship and now he's going to start his second internship, but nobody can tell him when or why or how many days because everybody's waiting for each other and he's just waiting. And the internship coordinator won't tell him if the limited amount of hours will allow him to graduate by the end of this, June or July. And she just keeps saying, well, I'm not quite sure. And he just wants to know because he can't make future plans without knowing. He can't work on his book. He can't study for, getting an extra certificate. He can't function. And she seems, she just wants to be nice. And his mentor just wants to be nice. Oh, you will be fine. No, it's okay. Don't stress about it. He just wants to know the data. And if that means he can't graduate because he needs an extra internship to just make the hours, that sucks. But then at least he knows where he stands. Because at the moment he's like lost in space. Because the adults are all trying to be nice, but by being nice, they're not helping him at all. He needs a number, a date, instead of, oh, it will be just fine, do whatever you want. He's autistic and has ADHD. He can't function without kind of a direction. And you can say, well, that's part of life. But yes and no. It's not that hard to give somebody a direction. Most of us function way better if we have directions, whether it's going somewhere, because if they say, it is there, just see how you get there, or it's on that location, that time, that day, that already helps. And most of us adults don't do well with, just do whatever you want, which will only make us undecisive. So he needs a lot of cheering up. On the other hand, and I tend to also for him, help him, but he needs to figure it out for himself. And this morning, it drained the shit out of me. I had to help him with filling in forms for school, for the new internship, for a meeting that he has to set up. And communication like that paralyzes him. And yes, he has to learn. But, helping him dealing with filling out those forms, it's another reminder of that he really needs, extra help. And it's not just, just power through, just soldier on. You can do it, stop, blah, blah, blah. It paralyzes him and he really needs guidance. And that is really hard. There's a reason I'm not a teacher. And you try to stay calm. And then I will say, well, what do you think? And he says, I don't know. I said, no, just make a decision. And then I'm going to fill in the answer for him. And he's like, Mom, you just said that I had to come up with it. And then you're going to mention what you think is best. Fair enough. Anyway, relapses, and depression. A lot of kids with special needs, and us as parents deal with it. And it's no wonder, that kids like ours are dealing with depression, because boy, do they have to deal with a lot of stuff. And the outside world keeps telling them, oh, just do this. Or they see the outside world, not having it so tough. And maybe they do, but you don't. Not in a way our special needs kids have, dealing with chronic pain, chronic fatigue, not knowing if it's going to get even worse, not knowing if you're, when your meds don't work anymore. And if you're dealing with, that can often lead to depression. So thankfully there are more and more academic hospitals that are aware of that. And also have the mental staff ready, for parents, but also for kids. And they monitor kids. So if they, at a certain moment, and Supergirl's doctor had it as well, that at a certain moment he went like, she keeps fighting. I don't think, I think it would benefit her if she would, see a therapist. So I think that's really a good sign that they think about the mental aspect of dealing with a chronic disease. And it's, thankfully there are even doctors that look out for the parents as well. It was the therapist of my daughter that saw me and went like, Mom, I don't think you're doing that well. Maybe have a separate session. And thankfully, she noticed that I wasn't doing well. And if you're dealing if you're neurotypical, or no, neurodiverse, I mean, the majority, I think it's the majority, not quite sure, not a scientist, but a lot of neurodiverse kids and adults at a certain moment deal with some form of depression. And no wonder. So it's so important that I think in the end, relapses come. And that sucks. And depression, no wonder. I think it's really important. We can't, there's no magic pill. And there's no quick fix. But what we can do for our kids and for ourselves is, not throw toys at them. You're doing bad, yes. Let's go to the toy store. Or in mommy case, online shopping. That's not going to fix it. Maybe time will fix it. Growing up will fix it. But what at least will help is that they are allowed to say it sucks. That you acknowledge their pain and their distress and their worries. That they're allowed to have those feelings. And as a parent, I think we have to try not to come with a solution. They have to find their own way. We can, of course, try to. No, but I did that. I was the typical. But look at what's going right. No, they just want to be acknowledged that it sucks. If you're in pain all the time, and it sucks if you're really tired and you wanted to go out, and it sucks if you don't even have the energy to study for a test because just going to school is tiring enough. That it sucks that you're extremely smart, but you fail an exam anyway because you're an overthinker. It doesn't help, my son, and I still do it sometimes, that I will say, just think simple. Just don't think so difficult. He can't change his mind, he can't change the way he thinks. Hopefully, I do see that over time they find their ways and the tricks. Wonderboy knows he needs a lot of transition time. And he will tell us. Yes, even after a shower or going to the toilet or walking the dog. For me, walking the dog used to be before long COVID was like, that's my relaxed time. And afterwards, I will quickly do blah, 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 blah. He needs transition time in between. And he educated us on it, saying, and when he was a kid, he showed us that he needed to play with his Legos. 2 years old, for an hour and a half before he was able to go to bed, because he needed that to deal with his day. Supergirl, sometimes needs a mom that is not trying to fix the situation and backs off, but also, if I pick her up from her internship on Tuesday evening, because she stays, if she normally has a Wednesday off, and if I pick her up, she's allowed to go, it sucked, or I feel tired, and me not jumping in, trying to say, but did she at least had some fun time? She just wanted to vent, or and we need to be gentle to ourselves as well, and acknowledge our pain and don't hush it as well. And maybe the next step is then sometimes ask for help. But I think that's a whole new episode, trying to ask for help if you try to do it all yourself. Sometimes it just sucks. And sometimes it sucks for a longer time. We can't fix it, but we can be there for our kids and acknowledge it. And if they need, and if you're able to, therapy can be a game changer on so many levels. I had therapy when I had a burnout, and I kind of had a burnout, I think, because I went to a therapist then as well. This was just finding my new place as a mom and working, and I went to a therapist, and she helped me reflect on things. And that was like 15 years ago, I think. Yeah, 15 years ago. So, and after my burnout, I had a therapist that helped me with my seeing and realizing how much I actually do. Yes, I'm not a CEO, but how much do you do? Because I only saw worth in, I only felt worthy if I managed to make my kids happy and make money and have a perfect house and all these impossible things. She helped me to realize that, I did a ton of shit and I did important shit. And but to be able to be that strong mom, I also needed to allow myself to do nothing and think about nothing. Because like a rubber band, if you keep stretching it, at a certain moment, if you don't sometimes let it go back, it will snap. And the same goes for us and for our kids. And then I had ADHD therapy, so that was much more cognitive behavioral therapy. That was really practical. Wonderboy, when he was 11, had therapy about, autism awareness, and not about just, you're autistic, but, well, this is kind of how your classmates think. And this is how you think and see the world. And I think, yes, you indeed maybe need to be a little bit older than that for that. But it was the first time that he was like, oh. He still doesn't get it if people don't like Star Wars, but it helped him realize that not everybody thinks like him. And that he, because of that, sometimes needs to translate or, yes, maybe do change a thingy. But the same was for his classmates, because he didn't talk about it. And his classmates went like, after he explained how he functioned and how his mind worked and what he was thinking all the time and how that functioned, they were like, oh. So that was kind of like an awareness therapy. It really helped him. It really also helps if you have a great teacher and not a total bitch, like in 6th grade. So she destroyed all the progress his other teachers made. Other topic, rabbit hole. And now, thankfully, I've got, well, I would say I just finished trauma therapy for something that was affecting me way more than I wanted to admit. And it really helped find my old me again. And my I would say like an energy, my physical therapy now, that's just for my body, makes a huge impact on how I heal with my long COVID and being able to breathe properly, but also the muscle tension that comes with long COVID. But she also helps me, realizing, okay, what are my energy levels? What makes it better? What makes it worse? How long of a recovery? And it sucks because I don't want to cancel things, but in the end, it makes my life better and makes me function better. And I see that with Supergirl as well. So she started, seeing her therapist now more, and sometimes it's just a few sessions, and sometimes it's a long 1 year therapy year, and that's totally okay too. There are so many if you need it, there's so much help out there. Whether that's online help or, just realizing, what your dopamine menu is, quick and long things that give you energy. And I had a separate podcast about the dopamine menu, where I talk about how it can help kids with ADHD, especially, and adults. But I think all kids that sometimes lack energy or feel drained, I think everybody should have a dopamine menu, where you have quick fix 5-minute thingies that help you feel happier again and feel energetic, or longer, things that take an hour or half a day. It's a really fun thing to do with your kids and find out what helps you. So, almost an hour, yes. Me and quick podcasts, never going to happen. But, this is such an important topic. And I wanted to explain, how it looks like in our lives and how it sometimes shows up, and the struggles, even, being now a special needs mom for almost 19 years. Sometimes it still sucks. Sometimes you still have struggles. Just acknowledge it and be kind to yourself. So, yes, that was it. If you have any, let me know what you think about this. Do you struggle with it? And what does what helps you and your kids? If you have a relapse or, dealing with depression. Because, if your kid has a depression and is in a dark place, I find it scarier than a physical relapse. Because physical is almost like, here's a new pill. It isn't that easy, but, mental struggles, I find it way scarier to deal with, way harder to deal with, because you just want your kids happy. But, if you look at yourself, that sometimes it's not just that easy. But I don't want to end with a down thing. So just be kind to yourself, to your kids, and acknowledge it when something is just shit. That can really help, that you just acknowledge it. And from that point, just acknowledging it can already clear the air and help you accept yourself, help your kids to accept themselves, and take it from that point and then move forward. So this was it. I hope you have a lovely week ahead, and if you have a story or if you have a question, please send me a direct message, via Instagram or Facebook. We do have a private Facebook group that really is just for special needs moms. So if you want to share your story there or ask for tips, the link is in the show notes. Please go there and take care of yourself, take care of your kids, and take care of yourself. Bye.